Okay guys, not sure how many of you heard about this from my previous videos, but I cooked the motor in the 700, and to lightly document rebuilding this bottom end, I've taken it all apart, and well, I opened it up in a few spots. The oil filter in here is completely cooked, completely filled with copper shavings. There's a little bit in the head from what I've found, but the head looks okay. The cam and rockers don't really have any scoring on them. I was able to peer into the cylinder just a tiny bit through the spark plug hole, and it looks okay, but the bottom end, I think we got to do scorched earth. I've ordered $900 of bearings. I ordered a crank. I was going to go with the Hot Rods 3mm stroker crank. However, it seems that they have stopped production, but we're going to try and get one, and if not, we'll just have to go with OEM. So we're going to pull the motor completely out, and we're going to end up splitting the cases here. So for any of you who are doing a similar job down the road, pulling the motor on this, it's not terrible. It's not as easy as a lot of other machines, but it's not bad at all. Just want to take the tank, top fender, and if you have one, your front fender off, as well as obviously your seat. Then we're gonna pull this guy out of here, and we want to take the throttle body off, which you just unscrew the two clamps, and as well as the battery off. And then there's a plastic bracket underneath the battery that's holding all of this wiring and these sensors in, and we're gonna pull that off. And then we're gonna disconnect the starter, which is right up in here, disconnect the rear sprocket from the chain, which is right back there, get these side fenders off. We've already got the coolant drained, we've already got the oil drained, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 motor mounts, and then the whole motor tilts forward. We're going to get the valve cover out from the frame and slide it out this way. We're going to have to take the brake off for that. So it's going to be a couple hour job. I'm not going to put it on a time lapse just because I don't have my GoPro here to do a time lapse on. Or maybe I can do a time lapse. If I can do a time lapse on this thing, I'll figure it out and I'll do a time lapse. We got it out, boys. It took an hour and a half, and I have done most of this work several times. I haven't taken the motor out, but I've disconnected the motor, taken everything off the machine before, so I knew what I was doing. An hour and a half, average person, 2 to 3 hours, I would say, if you haven't done any of that before. This thing is filthy. I mean, this corner of the motor just sits under a plastic cover, and then there's the side cover right here, and this is just never gotten cleaned. I mean, it is caked on there in several layers. It's absolutely ridiculous. We gotta close this hole up. Yeah, I mean, doesn't look bad from 10 feet away, but once you get up close, so we are going to start tearing this down soon. But first I'm going to plug it all up and pressure wash it and get it nice and clean for teardown. Okay guys, here is the motor all cleaned up on the pressure washer. Didn't have hot water unfortunately, so I couldn't really clean it up as well as I wanted to, but I'll clean it up once it's apart by hand. And I do have a small parts washer that some of this stuff will go in. So, don't have work today because it's pouring out, so I can spend some more time with this. My goal today is to get the top end taken off, get the stator cover taken off, final gear cover taken off, and then the whole clutch side taken off, as well as the water pump. And then I will just have the center cases and okay, so now that we have the top end off, a lot of things were revealed to me, and we'll do a see, keep you guys up to date. The head looks good. There's some carbon buildup here, but not terrible. I'll clean this all out good. And here's the other side of it. Not really any immediately obvious damage there. The cam also looks good. There's just like a film of oil on it, so we know it wasn't getting starved of oil. There's no big bad score marks. The decompression thing here is still working fine. The sprocket looks mostly fine, but right up here there's a little chunk missing from it, so that is going to get replaced either way. I haven't really looked at this. There's a way to inspect that. I haven't done that yet. The piston looks fine. Maybe a little bit of scoring on there, but nothing you can even feel. It's still got plenty of oil film left on it. The wrist pin is tight. There's no play there. It looks totally fine. I'm probably going to put new rings on it. The cylinder, some light on that. It says the cross hatching at the bottom, basically where you can see the line where the rings were scraping and then where they stopped. And it doesn't, I'm going to spend some more time looking at it, but it doesn't really seem to have anything wrong with it. and the thing was still making compression. So that looks fine. The deck also looks fine as far as I can tell. And again, I haven't taken a super long look at it. I'm willing to inspect it closer because this might be a good time to throw a big bore. The real carnage can be seen in here. You guys ready? It's not easy to see on camera, but there's quite a lot of play in there. And if you can see right in there, that is a toasted bearing. And if you can, yeah, like, she toast. You can see shrapnel down there. And my dad and I went magnet fishing and took up some goodies. Some goodies from the bearing. So crank is toast. The other thing is that I was just informed yesterday that they no longer make the stroker crank for this. So there's some people that might have one laying around. I'm going to call basically everyone in the industry just hoping to find one, because I would really like to put one. I got my hopes up now, and it was kind of a nice silver lining, something to at least sort of look forward to when this gets back together. So we're going to put you on another time lapse and take down the rest of this motor. So I've repositioned these for dramatic effect, but I just took the water pump off, and this happened. Yeah, I had a 1, 2, 3 rocks living in my motor. Isn't that nice? We're gonna put that over in the trophies section of things that I was not expecting doing this. But everything looks decent over here, honestly. This has some play, which I'm not sure if it should or not. I don't remember there being play. So I don't know about that. Quite frankly, I don't even know what this is. The transmission, no play there, which is nice. No play there, but that's all getting replaced. And let me get a light on it. We have a giant shard down there of something, and it's not magnetic, so can't really fish it out right now. Can't get it with any pliers or anything. I'm not super worried about it, but it'll come out, and I'm excited for that. That's just some foreshadowing. Took out the oil screen. The oil screen, not super clogged up. Honestly, less clogged than the first one I took out of here. We're going to switch. We're going to do the other side. And I think you guys are probably getting sick of time lapses by now. So I'm just going to do this off screen. There's really nothing going on here. And I'll update you guys later. Okay, gents. We're back here a couple hours later. And as you can see, we got the flywheel off. I'm going to say you don't really need a super special tool for this, at least on the 700. They wanted me to buy a special flywheel puller that threads in there and pushes on the crankshaft, and I was like, I'm just going to try the old Harbor Freight Special, the 3-jaw puller. And she worked with the 1/2-inch Craftsman. She popped her right off. No damage or anything. This is a heavy flywheel. Not that I have a good idea how heavy flywheels are supposed to be, but our one-way bearing looks good. I'm honestly probably going to replace it just because I do have a spare, because I thought it went at one point. So I'll probably replace it and then just keep this as a spare, or maybe sell it for like 20 bucks. And even the needle bearing in here still looks okay. It doesn't really have any play in it. It's smooth. It spins smoothly, but she is getting replaced. So we have not looked at each individual tooth yet. So basically, what happened is our rod bearing failed, and basically, I don't know if it's the shields or parts of the race or something. I think it was a shielded bearing. They basically snapped apart, and they are steel. It's a weird steel. It looks like copper, but my first clue was that it was very, very hard, and very strong, and wouldn't bend like copper. And then I'm kind of having a brain fart right now, and I should just Google this. I don't think copper is magnetic. Probably just said something really stupid. I know steel is magnetic, and it is magnetic, so it's not steel. But so what happened is a chunk of one of the shields came down through here. You can see, actually you can't see. But so basically it came down and somehow got up through here, and probably the magneto, or the flywheel, the magnetic force of the flywheel, pulled it over here and then spun it around here, and that's how it ended up over here. I didn't know that there was this big enormous passage down here going right to the crank. So that's where we're at right now. And also, these cases are going to come right apart. They're already apart a little bit up here, so I think I'm going to be able to just yank them apart without any special tools. So far we didn't need the flywheel puller, and we might not need a case splitter. That'd be really awesome if we didn't, and I could get these cases apart today. So let's dive into this. Okay, so we skipped a bit, but we got everything apart. The cases came right apart. And you know, I talked to an old factory Honda racer. He raced ATCs and maybe TRXs back in the 80s. And back then you'd have to rebuild your own motor, and Honda would just supply you the parts. And he said, I asked him if he had a case splitter. And he's like, no, I've never needed a case splitter. He said after you pull the jug off, the cases will come right apart once you get all the bolts off. And I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that these cases are going to come right apart. He's like, they're going to come right apart. And I was like, maybe on the old two strokes. These cases came right apart. It's on the time lapse. I think I whacked it with this 3 times and then just yanked it open. And yeah, went pretty well. You can see the mess in there. You can see some of this bearing shield. That's definitely steel, honestly. It's so strong. Can't bend that at all. There is this guy, this little line on the crank, or on the case. I'm not sure if that's just a casting mark or a crack. If anybody knows about that, let me know. But yeah, so the transmission looked good so far. These bearings aren't totally trash, but you know what? They're coming out anyway. So we need a bearing puller, and we still need the crank puller, which won't be bad. Actually, maybe we'll kind of need a case splitter for that. I don't know. I'm going to tackle that later. But basically, how this is going is we've got everything in milk cartons right now because I'm sharing this workbench and this shed in general with my dad. It's his shed. So in order to keep the main workstation clean and usable while this is going on, everything is going to live in these 3 milk cartons, and then I'm going to have an additional 3 milk cartons. And I'm going to basically pull out parts one by one, put them on the bench, pull bearings, clean it up as best I can, do any put new bearings and do any additional work that needs to be done, and then put it in the done pile and the ready to be assembled pile. And we also have a bunch of bags labeled with where they go, so top end, left side, right side, clutch, stator cover and whatnot. Everything is organized so that I can just, it'll be like a bag of Legos. Yeah, let's show you guys this crank action here. It's pretty saucy. It's pretty high performance. It's hard to turn because of how much compression it makes. Oh, actually, you know what? We've freed it up. It's basically brand new at this point. If it could move like that. Look at that. Yeah, she's mint. Yeah, so the only things left in here are the crank and the counterbalancer. And then on this side, we've also got the final drive. But there's nothing left in this motor, which I'm way ahead of schedule. I wanted to just get to the cases today. I wasn't even planning on splitting the cases. So I'm very, very happy with this. This is going to be its own video. I'm probably going to pull the crank in the next video and then just start cleaning everything, which is just going to be boring, and that won't get recorded. But yeah, this is, I feel really good about this. There's not a lot of people that have done this on the internet. I literally don't think anybody has made a video of this, which is why I'm doing it. I'm not really a huge fan of making videos. I think it's kind of boring. But these motors are getting old. These machines are getting old. There's still a lot of people who ride them, and people love the 700xx. And especially the last few years, there's just been a lot of interest in them. I see a lot of them for sale, and I see them moving around. And so people are going to be buying these. People are going to be riding these, and there needs to be a halfway decent video out there of taking this apart. And this isn't a super informative deep dive video, but putting it back together, I will be a little bit more follow me along-y. But I just want to show it's not that bad. And like, principle is the Hercules. So so thanks for watching, guys. Keep an eye out for the next video, and hopefully this thing will be running by October. That's my goal.